And hey everybody, what is going on? Mark here with Chris and Rob. We wanted to stop in before the episode and give you a special announcement that as of today, Monday, April 1st, we have officially launched our Patreon campaign.
Oh my God.
I'm just astounded.
Patreon.
We could be a couple months late.
We could be.
I may have drunkenly announced this back in January.
Pshaw.
In a moment of celebration and inebriation that it would be coming out.
That's what we do.
I think in a couple of weeks, I said.
Yeah, well, it depends on how you define a couple.
If you include some months, then I guess everything
If you're
works
hard
out.
fast on two,
Yeah.
then fine.
Yeah, no.
we
you're
lied.
right. Yeah.
Well, we had a couple bumps in the road. We had some things happen, but we got it all ironed out, and you can go to patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast, and you can sign up for our Patreon. We have two tiers. So far. We're going to do a soft launch with two tiers. We have more tiers coming, and we want some feedback from you guys on that, too. The very first tier is going to be the $1 tier, which is the thank you tier.
$1.
You give $1.
A buck.
We, at the end of a podcast episode, probably coming up in the next couple of weeks, maybe not, we will give you a thank you. We will say thanks for contributing to our Patreon. We will say your name, and everyone will join us in the celebration.
Yeah.
Indeed.
The next tier is the $5 tier.
Ooh, the fancy bump.
Oh, yeah, the $5 tier. You get bonus episodes, 2 bonus episodes a month.
Which we have been diligently
2.
recording.
We have, yes. We actually are ahead of schedule.
Storing away like little squirrels with nuts in their mouth.
Yes, we have some new episodes that we're going to be recording, and we have some archive episodes that we're going to pull out of things that we just didn't release. So you're going to get unreleased material and new material.
Absolutely.
So-
Gee, that sounds like a bargain.
It
It's not
surely
bad.
does.
Not bad.
$5 for
$5.
archival things
Oh,
that
man.
probably never should see the light of day, and brand new things that are fairly exciting.
I think ethically we've been having the discussion of should we make people pay for this?
Yeah,
but,
no, I
you
tell you.
know,
Oh, my
I mean,
God.
whatever.
It is like I refer to it as some of these early pods that didn't quite make it into normal circulation are the quote unquote too drunk to fuck pods.
It's a
where
excellent Dead Kennedys reference there, Robert.
absolutely, one of my favorites, and yet somehow as I've taken the time to listen to them before they've been released, I'm like, they're pretty gosh darn fun.
They're pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's
you
not
get
a
to enjoy.
surprise. If you've been listening to us, these pods will not be a surprise.
No,
the
not
first
at all.
batch at least
Yeah.
will not be a surprise.
Sometimes we might get a little bit too drunk and things might go off the rails. But you know what? It's fun. It's there. It's happening. And also, too, we're going to be recording new stuff.
Oh, totally.
So-
Yeah, that's the deal.
So again, that is patreon.com/Kryptonaut Podcast. The link for that will be in the description of this podcast. You can sign up for that. And thank you all to everyone who has already signed up, because somehow you all are detectives and went on Patreon and located our account
Oh, yeah.
before we even talked about
Announced
it.
it at all.
Yeah, so there's people that have been paying.
Yeah,
and I'm
Batman
like,
level detective.
Yeah,
Like
truly.
fucking-
I know.
Really, yeah.
Like fucking 9th level sleuthing here.
So everyone out there that already signed up, your content is on the way. And you, good listener, if you'd like to sign up again, you can go check that out on Patreon. And yeah, there you have it. That's all.
And for the record,
got.
the $5 will not only get you $5 will not only get you the bonus pods, but a thank you as well.
A thank you as
It's
well,
not
yeah.
like you miss out on the opportunity
No.
to get a thank you.
Right.
No.
You get just both.
Yeah, so if you want to help support the pod, $1, $5. A couple of people have been hitting in between like $3 or $4, because I guess you can hit like whatever you can say. Yeah, I'm just gonna give $3 and just leave it at that.
Oh,
So,
I mean that's
shit.
really sweet.
yeah,
I mean it's a nice thing. Like
God.
saying, I just want to thank you. Here's my $3.
there you go.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna throw down 4, make it 5 and enjoy some more pods. I'm not saying it because I want your extra buck. I'm just saying for an extra $1, it's probably worth
yeah,
it.
at that point, I get
Yeah.
it.
Well, in their defense, I had to unpublish the $5 tier because too many people signed up for it way too early.
Oh, I know.
No.
We didn't have anything.
Yeah,
for
we
him.
had
I'm like,
nothing.
oh no. Thank you all that did that, though. We appreciate that. So there you have it. Onward and upward with the podcast. Christopher, cue that creepy music. welcome to the Kryptonaut Podcast. I'm Mark Stores, and with me, as always, is
Mark Stores.
And
Mark Stores.
Thank you for joining the Mark Stores Show.
That it is now. It's
You
designated as the Mark Stores Show.
You can follow me
right?
on Twitter at Mark Stores.
The Mark Show.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Stores.
Wow.
And don't follow me on Facebook because I'm not really ever there.
No, you're not.
There you go.
That would be a waste of your time.
Yeah, we're all Mark.
This week on the Mark Show.
Mark incarnate.
Oh, where do we go from here? Oh, thank you for joining the Kryptonaut Podcast. Social medias.
Yes.
Our Kryptonaut Podcast social medias on the Twitters, the Instas, and the Facebooks. Big Cartel.
Do it.
You can go buy some stuff there. KryptonautPodcast.bigcartel.com. I made a
little
slip.
yeah, wow.
I never do that.
Flub.
A little didgeridoo, if you will.
I'm always good about this.
Yeah,
really? Seriously?
Or should I say a didgeridoo-doo?
Didgeridoo-don't. Oh, there you go.
Didgeridoo fuck off.
Oh, wow. Yeah, no, that's the best.
God, sorry,
Oh,
it's
my
best.
God, it's early.
I'm just saying.
Aboriginal.
Just saying, get it together. Bruh.
What we're trying to get to is that this week we're talking about 21st century dragons.
Indeed, we are.
So this is kind of a blanket topic, right?
It's big and broad, and you know what? Before we even get into it, I want to give a shout out to Richard Friedman. Richard Friedman is, a phenomenal author. He's the zoological director of the Center for Fortean Biology. He's an author and an adventurer, and he's somebody who, I think we've all admired for years. I've been just watching him on TV, following his work, reading his books forever. So he kindly sent out a message to us saying that he really enjoyed the podcast. And,
cool. Awesome.
And, of course, it made my fucking day. And so we started exchanging information back and forth. And one of the things he's been working on for his forthcoming book, Adventures in Cryptozoology, which will be out May 30th, is modern-day dragon sightings. So he sent me the information that's going to be contained within this tome.
Nice.
And I used that and then extrapolated on a little bit, and it sort of inspired what we're going to be doing tonight. So again, a big fat shout out to Richard Freeman, who
Hell
is
yeah, hell
Oh,
yeah.
yeah, dude.
a fucking, like I say, just an awesome cat, and I couldn't be more flattered that he digs what we're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Jesus,
that's
I know,
awesome.
right?
That's pretty cool. All right, let's get started with there is not a culture on Earth whose people do not have what some claim to be historical tales of mammoth, quasi-reptilian, often fire-breathing monstrosities known as dragons. These globally ubiquitous beasts' origins have been tracked back to 40,000 years ago when legends of these savage saurians first emerged from the Sub-Saharan Africa. But now, as modern technology canvasses the planet and traditional beliefs and monsters of legend have all but faded from our collective consciousness, there has been a sudden and inexplicable surge in sightings of flesh and blood animals that can only be identified as dragons.
Indubitably.
Well, there it is.
I
See you next
fumbled
week.
my way through it, but I made it.
I'm so proud of you right now.
Thank
I
you.
didn't even
No,
want.
that
I
wasn't
didn't
bad.
want to acknowledge it because I thought it would feel like a backhanded compliment, like I'm being condescending, but not at all.
No, you are. It's
you
fine.
just owned it. No, I'm not. You make me look like such a mean douche to our listeners.
Stop being a victim.
Wow.
What is that?
So
I didn't even
can't
know what that
defend
means.
myself now?
Yeah.
You.
This is what he did. He just says it, and
know.
you don't even have an argument. Look, I don't even know what to say.
know.
What you
Not
just
for
said.
nothing, but I've missed you guys all week. So
That's
thank you.
true. I know.
I really have. It's been a long
Oh,
week.
bless you guys.
All right, man. So I'm kind of stoked. We're talking about dragons.
Dragons. I love
Again,
dragons.
I
The
was so
dragoon.
fascinated by these things. I mean, I've been tracking. There's been obviously, pretty shady though interesting videos coming in, especially from China for the last few years. And other
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And so it's been on my radar a little, but not something I really focused on. But these accounts that Richard Freeman sent us and other research I've been able to do really kind of is piqued my interest in a great way. So let's just get started.
All right, cool.
When I think of dragons, the images that pop into my mind are ones of slightly singed, armor-clad warriors like St. George charging headlong toward the belly of an enormous, talon-bearing, scale-smothered, serpent-headed beast. Horns, wings, and dorsal plates optional. You gotta leave open for
Well,
options.
that
It's like
happens.
a caddy. It's
Variety.
the caddy of mythical beasts.
Yeah.
It's variety.
You need what you need. Sometimes you need the tail fin, sometimes you don't. I also think of writhing, whiskered, crimson and gold-plated sky demons cavorting in the skies above the provinces of China, bringing luck and inspiring awe in all who bore witness to them. The two fundamental dragons, the European Night Slayer
Right.
and the beautiful, soaring, whiskered.
Yes.
Like many who love cryptozoology, not to mention sword and sorcery films, I adore the idea of dragons. But unlike aliens, the orang pendek, or varied lake monsters, I've often relegated these fire-breathing fiends to the realms of myth and legend. Formidable and fierce as these creatures might be on the written page or silver screen, I have always believed that these beautiful, barbaric brutes were the stuff of fantasy novels, role-playing games, and heavy metal album covers.
Sure.
Yeah.
The best of the best.
Well, especially the Western dragon.
Oh, absolutely.
Whatever.
Yeah.
If you had asked a younger me what I thought about dragons, I would likely have gushed for the better part of an hour about how awesome movies like Dragon Slayer and Reign of Fire were. Then, with great reluctance, I would have added that the stories surrounding such creatures likely stemmed from our antediluvian ancestors' completely understandable misidentification of the fossilized remains of dinosaurs, as well as the Roman Catholic Church's need to bolster the reputations of their saints by having them best these allegorical avatars of the Dark Lord.
Not to describe the Dark Lord, but I want to make a note real quick here. Antediluvian. What is it?
Just old-timey.
Okay, but how do you pronounce it?
Antediluvian.
Okay, good. Vocabulary word of the week.
Absolutely.
Good to know. Okay, now back to the devil.
You know, we should do
Yeah.
we should do Kryptonite
Back to
vocab
Satan.
test.
Back
Yeah.
to Satan. All right.
Totally.
Satan brings the devil.
Decrepitude.
Oh my god! I know.
Crap.
We could have callbacks all
I
the
know.
live day.
Oleanus. No, wait, what was it?
Oleaginous.
Oleaginous, yeah.
But do you guys remember what that is, though?
The oily.
Oily.
Yeah. See, so
No, I know. I've heard that
Win-win.
word before.
Oh,
definitely.
yeah, because I'm greasy as shit. So there you
learning.
go.
Oh yeah,
Woo.
my T-zone
Oh,
sucks.
dude, me too. I'm a pile of grease.
Absolutely. The problem with this skeptically sound and remarkably rational dismissal of these behemoths of yore is simple. Folks from all walks of life and from nations as far-flung as Japan, Iceland, China, and the United States keep seeing them right up into the new digital millennium.
So current day dragon sightings.
People are fucking
All right,
just
man.
seeing
Yeah,
these
it
things.
happens.
You want? I mean, there's about 1,000 rational reasons to say no, but fuckers are seeing them.
All right.
There are controversial videos hailing from China that purport to show dragons in flight, and there are scads of eyewitnesses who claim to have seen these mythical monsters with their own two eyes. Here are just a few of the more intriguing accounts. Our first post-millennial case comes to us from Osaka, Japan. Sometime in May of 2003, David Nardiello, an English teacher at the Nigshim-Ozu High School in the city of Wata Shinki-cho, again,
Okay.
I know I'm not saying that right, but yeah, was riding his bicycle home late in the evening through a torrential downpour. The heavy rains had saturated the nearby rice fields, creating deep pools, one of which concealed a creature of mythic proportions.
Foreshadowing.
She's just hanging out.
Not really. I mean, we all know
Is
what
it
we're
just
talking
the
about.
shadow?
Yeah.
Okay,
it could
good.
be. Yeah.
There's no force.
I mean, if it ends up being a unicorn, people are like, fuck.
Oh, Rob's
what
a
are you
liar.
doing?
Rob is a victim liar. God damn it.
It's true. Oh my God. Really?
Jeez, all right.
Criminals. David pedaled on, negotiating the treacherous, puddle-ridden road. The teacher was undoubtedly preoccupied with thoughts of getting out of this deluge as quickly as possible when his attention was snagged by a sudden burst of movement in the flooded rice paddies off the side of the road. David was astonished to see a massive alabaster animal emerge from the pools. The creature had a bulky lizard-like body that was supported on four limbs resembling those of a cat. Cat and lizards.
Okay.
Classic dragon.
Yeah.
Mounted on its back was a pair of leathery bat-like wings, which unfurled as its long neck and snake-like head surged from the water. And that's when David's shock turned to outright horror. Just after surfacing, the bleached beast turned its serpentine head towards the transfixed teacher, bared its sizable fangs, and stared directly at him with its inky black, shark-like eyes. Almost certainly terrified for his life, David was utterly unprepared for what happened next. Without warning, the white dragon flapped its huge wings and shot up to nearly 100 feet in the air. So suddenly, you're going by this rice paddy in a fucking monsoon. And this thing just surges up.
Comes out.
It's in a rice paddy?
It's in a rice paddy.
Why?
It doesn't, is it underground? Because this makes me think, again, we've talked about
that's what-
cicadas before, or frogs that hibernate. I don't know how deep general rice paddies are, but it doesn't seem like it would be deep enough.
I mean, it could be just lying in the water with maybe its nose out of the water so it can breathe, and then just happened
Why?
to come
Swimming? Just being
Yeah,
hey.
it could be like a pig
sometimes
that
you
likes
wanna
to
take a
wallow.
bath, yeah.
Sometimes you just
dragons
need-
like to wallow.
Well, elephants do. Who's to say?
Yeah.
Me.
Whoa.
Well, Chris is dictated. It was not whatever it was doing.
is it
It was
there?
not wallowing.
I better not hear any goddamn military talk from either of you.
Oh God!
All right,
Yo, God forbid.
You guys are you guys are both on
It
military.
could be a
probation.
military grade dragon.
You don't know.
You know,
It
I
could
know it's
happen.
I volunteered it.
All right.
All right. So whatever it was
It was in the
apparently
rice-
came
this
out
rice
of this
paddy.
puddle, and it's just fucking. It's not necessarily
Right.
albino. It's pale.
Right.
It's serpentine. It's got the wings. It's got all the
But
classic
it did bear
accoutrement.
it did bear its teeth, which is pretty interesting. So it
Or
actually
maybe it was just opening its mouth to breathe. I mean, if it's got big teeth, I mean, whenever a fucking tiger yawns, it looks terrifying, even if it's not really trying to be intimidating.
I'm thinking that it's actually it's acknowledging the dude. Obviously.
It looked at him.
Yeah. So it.
Well, that
it
doesn't
made
mean-
contact.
What?
Not contact, but it was like,
looked at
hey,
you, so
I
made
see,
contact.
I see you, you see me.
I don't
There
know
you go.
if things think that way.
Do you
I
think it
wanna
was
think it did.
a pleasant interaction?
No, not at all.
Oh, so you thought
Probably
it was
wants to eat 'em.
intimidating?
Probably. It's a dragon. Isn't that what they do? Isn't that what we've been taught from day one?
But haven't we been taught some things about marginalized characters that aren't actually true?
Exactly.
For the record, Falcor is not a fucking dragon.
Wow, I
Yeah,
agree.
I'm
he's,
saying
he's,
it.
he's a strange version of a flying
He's a
dog.
goddamn
He's
dog.
actually called the dragon in the movie.
Yeah,
But he's not a dragon.
I mean, maybe
You
he
can't
is,
see that.
But he is
He's
much more of a
not.
puppy. I got to give Mark something on this.
I think he's cool.
Yeah, but
Oh, he's adorable.
You
Yeah, he's
can't
a
argue
pup.
from the people who made it.
It's true,
like
I
that, it's
can't.
not a dragon.
All right, well, in my world,
That's fair.
He's just an adorable puppy that flies.
He is the Chinese dragon with a dog face, yes.
True.
But still, you can call anything flying with that's serpentine
Could be a dragon.
with a face. You can call a dragon. I mean, I can just make something up right now. That's
We'll come back to this.
I
later.
could literally defend both of your positions.
Falcor
right now.
with a
You know
giraffe
what?
face is a dragon, right? Like
terrifying.
yeah.
True. If it was crocodilian or something more traditionally reptilian, we would have no doubt that it was a
You have
dragon.
no problem doing it,
Yeah.
right? But just because it's like it doesn't have the face of a falcon or some elite bird of prey. It's not. It's a
We're gonna
non-dragon.
table this and we'll come back to it. Wow, Chris is on fire tonight. What's
Absolutely.
going on?
We'll see.
All right. So what we're dealing with is obviously not a Falcor.
Okay.
Snake-like head, shark-like eyes,
Yeah.
bat-like wings, cat-like legs.
Cool.
Torso of, I assume, a standard dragon.
I hope.
Yeah.
Or
I don't know,
Falcor.
yeah, I don't know what that
100
means.
feet in the air, one scared English teacher.
Totally understandable.
Needless to say, David had no intention of waiting for the thing to swing back, plunge down, and turn him into a midnight snack. Throwing caution to the wind, he cycled back to his apartment at breakneck pace and presumably dove into the shelter of his building like a man being chased by the devil himself. Throughout the remainder of the night, the perplexed educator could not help but stare into the sky above his third-story flat. In a development that would have astounded anyone who studies what are the often all too brief and isolated encounters folks have with the fantastic, the unknown animal once again reared its pale head as it soared above David's building and his disbelieving eyes.
Oh, I came back.
Fucking saw it again.
Weird,
That
okay.
almost never happens.
No, not really.
Cryptozoological,
No.
well, occasionally in ufology.
Right.
David went through the building questioning his neighbors as to whether or not they too had seen the dragon, but the closest he got to a corroborating witness were the handful of people who had claimed that they had heard strange cries emanating from the rice fields over the last few nights. Soon after the sightings, David's co-worker, Kato Sensei, christened the anomalous animal as the Neko Hebi Tori, which translates to cat snake bird.
Oh God.
Which is
Ooh,
fair
boy.
on the nose,
Yeah.
but it's got, once you say it in Japanese, it
Cat.
sounds
Cat,
awesome.
snake, bird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Neko Hebi Tori.
Yeah.
Own it.
All right.
Live it, love it.
Okay.
While Asian cultures in general, and the Japanese in particular, have an affectionate view of these legendary animals, and giant monsters overall, I mean, we know that, David was convinced that whatever the thing may have been, it was not a harbinger of luck, but clearly a dangerous predator, and that he was lucky to have escaped with his life. And I
Fair.
think that's pretty fair.
It's fair, yeah.
So he saw it. It looked at him. It's got scary shark eyes and big teeth, but maybe it's not necessarily. I mean, who knows? It might have been eating rice. Maybe
yeah, there's
that's
no
literally what it was doing.
indication it did anything aggressive.
No, but I guess when you have teeth like that, but from a biological
You're not a
perspective,
vegetarian.
yeah, you're a carnivore.
Yeah.
Hard to eat flowers.
It's well,
Whoa.
with fangs, it is.
You don't know what's under a rice paddy.
It's true, you don't.
Diamonds. Hard to eat diamonds.
Sounds like a sweet new Minecraft mod. There you go.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Let us move on to our second post-millennial sighting.
Okay.
At about 6 p.m. on August 6th, 2005, two students, a couple actually, Lee and his girlfriend Zhao Bin, were exiting the library at Jilin University in Jilin Province, China, when the woman glanced up and got the shock of her young life, exclaiming, "Look, a flying dragon appears in the sky."
Okay.
I'm just quoting.
All right.
I know it sounds like a Speed Racer outtake.
It really does.
No,
yeah.
that is.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
But, the language translates as something more matter of fact.
Okay. Cool.
Her boyfriend Lee liberated his cell phone and captured an image of the beast. In his own words, "When I was walking out of the library, I saw a bright, animal-shaped object flying in the sky, heading southeast. It was incredibly dazzling, just like a gigantic dragon. I immediately took a picture of the unusual event on my cell phone."
Good to do.
The photo, which I was not able to turn up, and that kind of surprises me. You
In
would
this
think-
day and age,
I know, but I wasn't.
Get
So
it- get
to
it
our
together,
listeners,
Lee.
if you can find it, the photo apparently showed a dragon-shaped object complete with 4 limbs and a tail. Lee estimated the radiant creature to have been over 10 meters long. It flew at an altitude of an airplane, but appeared to be much more immense and flying very fast. Now,
Wait
again,
a
I'm
minute.
quoting, but it depends on your airplane.
The altitude of an airplane?
Yeah, I again,
Could it have been a
how?
airplane?
Wait
it's
a minute.
funny. Like, I'm cutting and pasting and I'm reading, but now that I'm thinking, like, all right, well, a lot of airplanes are over 30 feet long, and
Yep.
what is what is? I don't understand.
the same size as it, the same height as an airplane would be flying.
Now, if you say it's like bigger than a Cessna
Right.
and flying at
you
the
know what, though?
level
if
of a,
you see the wings actually moving and flapping, it's clearly not going to be a plane,
well, yeah,
unless
that's
it's
true.
in some really shitty turbulence.
Yeah, but look,
Okay. Well, let's just see what
All right,
else.
so we're
is
just
in
gonna,
common.
you know what?
How
Let's
is
just,
that exa-
let's just take
Oy, oy.
it as what it is.
Okay, that's fine.
They said altitude of a plane. They said more massive than a plane, but
Fine.
they also say
well, no,
it's 10
wait.
meters long.
That's 30 feet ish, roughly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
roughly.
roughly, depending on the size
A
of the
little
plane.
under, but yeah,
That's longer than a plane,
Oh,
maybe a little larger. Actually, I don't know.
or a little larger than a
no,
plane.
if it's
or
like a 7.
No,
if
not
like
if it's a 747 or
if it's a jumbo jet.
one of
If it's
those
like one of, like,
sweet Super 8s that just got grounded
Right.
the world over, whatever the fuck it's called. Mecha 812. All right. Yeah, I feel like I'm consternated by that too.
Yeah.
now, Chris. I
Well, you know what?
understand.
Let's just continue on. We'll see what we can come up
All right.
with.
So let's
Can
just
it
say
dodge?
30 feet-ish now.
Judge me.
It turns out that Li and Zhao Bin were not the only students to have seen the iridescent entity. Law students Li Bing and Zhao also saw it, according to Li Bing. "When I was leaving the library, I heard a girl yelling, 'Look, a dragon flying in the clouds,' which, by the way, is a lot more natural sounding."
Then look, a dragon has appeared.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Exactly.
The dragon, a fictional myth, has appeared in the sky.
Look, there's a Gundam to battle a dragon.
Oh,
That would be
oh, you
cool.
just sweeten the deal.
Yeah, the Gundam
God
shows
bless you.
up.
It's there. It's in Japan.
Yeah.
So Li Bing looked up China, actually.
No,
Li
the
Bing-
Gundam's in Japan.
Oh yeah, you need the Gundams from Japan to fight the Chinese monster dragons. Yes, of
that's
course.
how the shit goes down.
So, Li Bing looked up, and this is what he said: "I saw a red dragon-shaped object." That's an interesting way of saying it. Not a red dragon. Just he's being.
Oh,
you know what?
oh.
He's being.
Yeah, but before they said the guys before said I saw an animal shaped. Like
It's
they,
interesting.
so I'm like,
Are
what,
they
is
like-
it, what does that
are
even
they
mean?
implying that perhaps
I would.
that this thing might have been a vehicle disguised as a dragon?
I don't.
I mean, that's a stretch.
that might just be a translation.
That could be a stretch too.
Yeah.
That's just
Yeah,
a weird.
you're
Like,
like,
but
what?
he said when he said animal shaped. I'm like, what? What do you mean?
Yeah, it sounded like the Oscar
What do you
Mayer
mean
truck of
animal shape?
dragons. Like, it's not what
Yeah,
we're
like,
doing.
right. It's like a wiener.
Yeah. Is that a wiener dog?
Yeah,
Or is that a wiener
animal shaped?
Or is it a dragon?
I assume means a body and 4 appendages.
in some wings.
And
Well,
some sort of-
there was
maybe.
the sweet ass like Dr. No tank in the first Bond film that was a fire breathing
Yeah,
monstrosity that was like
That's true.
designed to scare local natives
Right.
and yet really was a piece of technology. So we let's not take off Techno Dragon.
Okay,
let's keep it
fine.
on the
Techno
table.
Dragon's on the table.
techno dupe dragon.
Yeah, I mean it's not as firmly entrenched on the table as the devil. It's more toward the edge, but it's still there.
That would put it in the category.
Clandestine dragon dupe.
Yeah, military maneuver.
Fair enough.
Oh
you go.
no, we're not going there anymore.
Oh, you guys.
He saw a red dragon-shaped object flying southeast. After just a minute, it flew away. The sky was completely illuminated at that moment. And that sums up the Jilin encounter.
Okay.
So again, even though it's kind of befuddling and maybe it's a UFO or something, it's still another ostensible dragon sighting. The next one we have comes to us again from Mr. Freeman. In his soon-to-be published Adventures in Cryptozoology, Richard Freeman quotes from author and cryptozoological researcher Linda S. Godfrey's book, American Monsters, citing a series of interviews she conducted with a young man onto whom she bestowed the pseudonym Jim. We're talking about Jim.
All right. Pseudonym Jim.
Okay.
Jim, his mother, and his sister claim to have been part of a group dragon sighting that took place in the skies above Wisconsin back in 2007.
We got some Wisconsin dragons.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
And it's
cheese
pretty
and
phenomenal.
dragons.
We got some people that we know in Wisconsin.
Absolutely.
There you go.
Jim described the extraordinary events that transpired that night in his own words. And so the next series of things I'm going to be reading are literally from the horse's mouth or Jim's mouth.
Okay.
On October 7th, 2007, in Oconto Falls, Wisconsin, some of my friends and I were at a now closed down arcade. It was the same as always. A few of the best local bands, me and some of my friends joining them on stage and hanging out afterwards, which does not sound like the arcades I grew up with. But I think it's awesome. So it's
an
where you fucking
old
rock,
rundown, punk rock
play
arcade,
some Pac-Man, an old school punk rock.
guess so.
But as much as that sounds so natural and sounds like a
That's
place
not-
we would all love,
no.
that wasn't a thing that I know.
Not that we called an arcade.
No, because we had the Polish Home on State Street and we had the 4-H. There was no arcade. Oh wait, wasn't there?
Well, there were
arcade
video
machine?
games in the foyer.
Okay, good. Then
Either way,
May-
I'm super envious of this hangout spot.
I wanna
'cause
go there.
Anywhere you can
Totally,
fucking
yeah.
rock and jam out on games, or maybe it's a different use of the word arcade, and I'm not familiar with
That's what I'm saying. I think it's just
it. Yeah,
it's
a place of rock.
sure.
Let's just establish
games,
that.
Okay.
games and rock.
Games and rock.
While we were outside on the cold, partly cloudy night, one of the guys that was there from Green Bay said that he thought he saw something in the sky. Most people were skeptical, but we just decided to lay down on the grass and on top of the vans and trucks, and maybe we could see what it was. After about 15 minutes of talking and laughter, those emotions changed to surprise and astonishment as we watched a massive white and tan dragon fly over the clouds. We knew it had to be a dragon because how else could you describe something flying over that was almost silent, larger than a plane, had a tail, bat-like wings, long neck, and a narrow pointed head and scales? Fair enough.
That's a
How
dragon.
else?
Yeah.
You know what it sounds like to me? Zoc from the Herculoids.
Yeah, it does.
Even though he was like a pale green, but you know,
yeah.
I can't help it. But I love the fucking
Oh, yeah.
Herculoids. That's what pops in my head. I remember noticing the scales because they dimly reflected the streetlights below. We thought we were all seeing things, but 5 minutes later it flew over again, this time in the opposite direction. The 8 people from Green Bay wanted to stay, but they had to leave. They hoped they would see the thing back home. At this point, Jim and his companion, known only as Kay, decided that a change of venue was in order, and they called his mother, Jim's mother that is, for a ride. Jim's mother, whom Godfrey dubbed Janet, picked the boys up and was quickly regaled with tales of flying four-legged monsters. Janet was understandably skeptical, but her interest became piqued by the sight of a huge shadow slipping across the arcade's parking lot. Looking skyward, she did not see a beige dragon, but a blue fireball surrounded by an orange halo coursing from east to west across the night sky.
What the fuck is
that? Just brings it to a whole
Okay, that's
other
a
level.
comet.
Yeah. Janet's comet.
But what's the big giant shadow? I mean, you're right. It might be a comet. It might be
Shadow
an
of a comet?
unrelated astronomical phenomenon.
Could
I'll
it have
totally
been
grant it.
a comet-shaped dragon or a dragon-shaped comet?
Unrelated plane and comet sighting.
Could be.
Sure.
But
Why
it'd be a
not?
low-flying plane because unless you're right next to an airport, I have never just been driving around and seen a shadow of a plane. Like
Never.
that thing has to be coming down for a landing
low,
or
yeah.
rising up,
Yeah.
to take off.
How terrifying would that be? Every time there's a plane in the sky, there's a big giant shadow. Like, oh my god,
Oh, it sucks.
just coming over you. Be terrifying.
Although Janet remained doubtful that the flaming orb had emanated from a dragon, Jim insisted that he and his friends had seen the exact same thing before the dragon had arrived earlier. So he's saying now, and it's a problem. I would mention this earlier, but apparently
Right.
they saw fireballs before they saw the dragons.
Yeah.
earlier.
If fire appears, hence the dragon.
Yeah. Janet drove the boys home, and despite her incredulity, decided to join them in the backyard. Jim picked up the story once again. Me and my friend Kay decided to go to my house and lay in the backyard and watch. My mom joined us, not really believing any of it, until as soon as she was about to go back in, another big one flew over the house. If I remember right, her words were, "I'm tired and I'm going to bed." I doubt that it even, "Holy beep." And that's how it was written, beep.
Okay.
The expletive was not officially recorded.
Yeah.
Okay.
At some point, Kay went home and Jim convinced his sister Jill to stay up with him and continue his dragon vigil. The pair lay on a trampoline in their backyard staring upward when they spied a fireball shooting from east to west, followed by another one moving from west to east. They were then both startled by an ear-splitting screech that ripped through the night air, causing all of the local dogs to erupt in a frenzy of barking. The duo then saw the incredible apparition directly above their backyard, according to Jill. Then, as we were watching the sky, coming from the west, from the river to over our yard, we saw what appeared to be, and this is the only thing we could think of to describe it as, a dragon. It was making gliding movements up and down, never flapping its wings, kind of like how a mermaid is. It never flapped its wings at all.
That's kind of weird.
There's a little bit to
Okay.
unpack there.
A little bit.
First off, I'm not going to be a dick and say mermaids don't have wings, because we fucking know it.
Okay.
But I have never seen it suggested that mermaids don't move their tails to propel themselves through the water, or that dragons don't move their wings to propel themselves in the
Right.
sky. I've never heard of this.
Yeah.
It's an odd comparison, and it's odd that. All right, so maybe this thing is gliding when
It
she
could-
happens
yeah,
to
could
see
be
it.
gliding,
That's
yeah.
totally
Totally.
fair.
I guess in air perspective, in water you wouldn't you just see that that.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
just
It
assume
would
they
be-
mean
it
that
would
in
be
the
an
sky,
up and down
Right.
undulation,
in the
yes.
sky. I'm just assuming that's what they're talking about.
Maybe that's what she's saying.
All right, so the
I just found it
dragons-
they're not
interesting
seeing
and
wings
odd.
move. It looks like that
No,
without
you're right.
wings moving.
It could be just like
That's
just
what I'm assuming.
shifting the weight, and whatever. If it's pointing down,
Yeah.
pointing up, and cruising on the air. At this point, the phantasmal flyer made a sharp descent until it was gliding just 20 feet above their 2-story home. That is fucking
That's
low.
pretty close.
Offering Jim and Jill an unprecedented look at the thing. Jill went on to paint an even more vivid picture of this once legendary beast. It looked almost cream. We were looking at the underside. Its stomach reminded me of the underside of a cow, barrel-chested. And from where we were, it looked as large as a cow. So that's interesting.
Wait, first
would
of all,
have
it's
assumed
a plane.
Yeah.
Now it's a cow.
Now it's cow size. But
Or
remember,
is
it's the
it-
difference between what Jim's describing and what Jill's describing.
Right.
And now the wings, now if we think about it this way, in terms of like what we know of traditional Terran gravity, if you want to fucking make something cow size take flight, those wings have got to be fucking huge.
Yeah.
So maybe the wings were plane sized while the body
Well, I
was
mean,
cow
it depends
sized.
on its bones.
Sure, if it was light and airy like a bird,
yeah.
you're right. I mean, we don't know. I'm just trying to find a way to
No, that's just a
rationalize
little
these
weird,
two
yeah.
disparate descriptions.
Yeah.
Jill continued, I remember the moon was very bright and full that night. It had a snake-shaped head and a long pointed tail. I could see it had pearly, pale scales, and a fireball came from its mouth.
We got
So now we have a specific
official fireball from the mouth.
spewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chris is getting broken by the moment.
Yep.
It was at this point that the pair saw something that increased their excitement exponentially. Not only did another massive creature nearly identical to the first come into their line of sight, but a group of smaller dragons that seemed to be playing, flying in circles and cavorting with the larger ones, also showed up.
We got baby dragons.
We got mom
playtime,
and dad
apparently.
dragons. We got baby dragons. We got a mini fleet of dragons.
All right.
The siblings took these to be the bigger one's pups. That's a reasonable assumption. Jill continued. They were beautiful and flew gracefully. I could see they had 4 legs too, referring to the pups. They were tucked up underneath them like when a bird flies. That's an interesting, very spot-on description. Like if people were just flat out lying, and I don't think they were, Because, I mean, you got a pile of people from Green Bay. You got folks from Ontonko or whatever. I'm probably saying the city wrong. You've got the mom seeing something.
Yeah.
You've got the sister and the brother seeing something. And the fact that they mentioned, like, oh, the legs got tucked up, that's a little unnecessary detail that if you're just, listen, of course this could be a raft of shit. We all know.
Yeah.
Right.
But if it's not, that's a kind of little interesting detail that I find really compelling.
It is. I mean, we'll see what happens.
Jim corroborated his sister's statement, claiming, "We saw a few smaller ones after that, but I haven't seen them since that night." Although it would be equally astonishing if they had seen a supposedly extinct sky predator rather than a dragon, Jill insisted that after being shown depictions of pterosaurs, that the wing structure of those prehistoric animals had been very different from the creatures her family saw, stating, "I don't care what the scientists say, it was not a pterodactyl." Again, trying to unpack that. I don't know what scientists were trying to say. Clearly, you didn't see a Wisconsin dragon.
Pterodactyl.
You saw a Wisconsin pterodactyl.
I don't think they were trying to say anything.
Yeah.
I find it like you don't. What scientists are you dealing with,
Yeah.
Jill?
What does that even mean?
And which ones of them were trying to convince you? It's
just
clearly an
pterodactyl.
extinct flying reptile.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm
Not
sure that's what a scientist would tell you. Oh, you saw a pterodactyl.
Unless she was meaning different cryptozoologists that were coming there saying, oh, maybe it's a thunderbird, maybe it's a relic, flying, pterodon or pterodactyl, and then she's like, no, it's a fucking dragon, suck my balls, which is a fair
She
thing for Jill
probably
to
said,
say.
"Suck my balls."
Yeah.
After she came down from that.
What, Jill can't say that now? We're too good to have Jill say that.
After she sobered up.
For the fucking meth war off, she's all right.
Oh my God.
The 4 seagulls and shot through. She was under attack. You guys got lances? We need lances.
Oh, shit. Oh, shit.
Jim then concluded his story, stating his belief that he was watching not a random dragon family frolicking in the skies above Wisconsin, but an actual mass migration of monstrous proportions. And this is what he said. "I believe that they were migrating during that month. Hopefully I will see them again next October. When talking about the incident at school, one of the girls around us claimed to have seen the same thing with her cousin 2 years earlier." So I guess it's a pattern in Wisconsin.
Okay, Wisconsin dragons, they're migrating. I mean,
Yeah, no shit. While it is difficult to imagine that in the 21st century, random groups of Wisconsinites are seeing the migratory patterns of colossal creatures that, according to all known fossil records, simply should not exist, it's equally tough to dismiss this many corroborating eyewitness reports. And I got to say, it is a push and pull. I mean, it's absurd on its face.
Totally.
No one else is seeing the mad flight of like the Canadian dragons going, to South America to winter.
No, the data is very specific.
Yes,
Like,
it's a narrow band.
Yeah.
But that, of course, and I know we always get to this at the end, but that opens up the possibility: are they able to see something? Is there something in the membrane and fabric of reality in this one geographic point that just happens to be in Wisconsin that is allowing them to see something that the rest of us just aren't privy to? Because clearly they're not showing up on fucking radar, and planes aren't having to like nosedive to avoid dragon collisions.
No, they're not on the Doppler in the Weather Channel.
But on the other hand, it doesn't mean they don't
they?
in some fashion exist.
Okay, well.
We'll table that.
All right.
That is the end of the Wisconsin report.
The end.
Absolutely.
So, Wisconsin migrating dragons. Okay. I like it.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
Well, it's a lot to unpack.
He's got the
because it starts off with like, okay, this could be some sort of flying cryptid thing,
right?
But then, literally, when someone comes out and says it's
breathing fire,
you saw fireballs coming out of its fucking mouth or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like,
listen, the skeptic in me, the true skeptic, not the debunking douche, hates that. But then on the other hand, you have to take eyewitness reports at what they are.
Right.
Doesn't mean you have to believe them, but you just have to be like, I can't dismiss this part just because I don't like it. And to me, that's, it's bizarre.
Feel like I'm gonna, though.
There's that one fucking... Yeah, I know, right. Fair enough.
I
I feel like I'm gonna, though. Just biologically speaking, things just don't fucking do that.
Well, there's that one... I will never remember it. I don't know why. There's this one effing beetle or whatever it is that can like spit acid mixed with something else or shit fire.
Yeah,
I don't even
there's
remember what
the
it is.
fucking lizards that like blood eye.
Yeah. There are
black-eyed
weird
lizard.
things, but you're right. There
Fire.
is nothing in the fauna of Earth that suggests combustible material will shoot out of the orifice, the mouth of
I don't think it's
a creature
physically
at something.
possible.
No,
I'm guessing.
anything's physically possible
know, man.
if
You
it is
burn your
evolved
teeth.
in such a way.
Burn your tongue. Burn your
Fire
You would burn your
balls?
teeth.
I
You're
just,
gonna
I'm
burn
not
your
sure
tongue,
about that
you're
one.
gonna
And
burn
there
your
it is.
cheeks. There you go.
You're gonna burn a lot,
of shit.
Yeah.
Well, there is also the Gamera principle, if we want to go Daikaiju,
Ah.
where the two combustible elements are in two separate sacs on either side of its esophagus,
Okay.
and they don't actually mix until they're out of the mouth.
Okay, possibly, maybe a flamethrower. For a
Gamera
mouth.
protocols.
Okay, the Gamera
Yeah,
protocol.
I just don't think evolution. What's the?
I think we know about that.
I don't know
I
what
would
the
think
point of
we
that
know
one is,
about
but-
That's again why I'm saying maybe there is something going on. Maybe it is a peek into an alternate evolution.
I mean, I like that idea. I'm all about it.
Just like well, the limited
Sounds good to me.
geographical evidence. It's not like there's corroborating reports from Montana and Idaho.
No,
and
it's
New
here.
Mexico.
It's one.
Yeah.
It's here.
It's
It's
this,
one
this
thing.
place, and it's just one girl that might have been wanting to be like, I saw him too with my cousin, just wanted to be
Right.
involved with the story,
Yeah.
or maybe they
She's
really
jumped
are
on the bandwagon. She wants a little bit of fame.
or it
We
could be a
get it.
little wrinkle in time, a little rift from which we can see into a world that is not our own.
a peer back into the past and/or the future of not Earth.
Fair
Yeah,
enough.
and maybe.
Alternate Earth, dude.
Herculoids Village.
There you go.
Oh,
All
it
right.
could be.
Okay, so we got two more accounts, and then we're going to wrap it up, and we're going to break this shit down.
All right, let's do it.
Let's go to Iceland.
All right.
The eruption of the unfucking pronounceable Icelandic volcano Eyjafjallajökull in 2010 not only spewed colossal clouds of toxic ash into the atmosphere, but also, according to one local man who requested anonymity, a real live dragon. The eyewitness first believed that, due to the truly immense proportions of the object, he must have been watching a plane fly around the billowing peak. But then it suddenly performed a bizarre maneuver never seen in a man-made aircraft. It began flapping its gargantuan wings.
Okay.
Now it did.
That's how you know.
Possible dragon maneuver.
Well,
Classic dragon maneuver.
when you said earlier. I mean, it's when the flapping starts that
Yeah.
the plane goes out the window.
No more planes.
In an email to the Danish biologist and cryptozoologist Lars Thomas, the man matter-of-factly claimed, "As I see it, there are two possible explanations. Either I was imagining the whole thing, or what I saw was in fact a dragon. I find it very hard to believe, but then again, I don't think I could imagine something like that." Just stating the facts as he knows.
I mean, it's a dragon. It's not like world peace.
yeah, you know it or you
Just
don't.
saying, yeah.
Whoa, wait, whoa.
That was deep.
It's not like
I
a
mean,
world
that was
peace.
unfathomably deep.
Sometimes I like to get to my personal emotional bounds.
It just blew my mind.
Yeah,
a
but I
little.
feel like they're both. You have to imagine those because
do.
we don't have either.
No, we don't.
A creature similar to the ones reported the world over were recounted in the book Monstrous Creatures by Steph Young. At about 11:45 p.m. on the night of March 18, 2012, an unnamed man was walking his dog in a rural region of the southern part of Fayette County, Pennsylvania, which has got some really famous UFO encounters. He was walking across his front yard, far from any artificial illumination, when he was suddenly startled by a loud whooshing sound coming from overhead. His gaze shot skyward, and the man was almost certainly astonished to see a flying creature that looked like a dragon, quote unquote, soaring above him at a distance of about 55 feet. Oddly specific.
That's a
55.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny. If he had said
About
60,
60, yeah.
or 50,
50,
I'd
yeah,
be like,
yeah.
fine.
Yeah,
But when you
70.
but then again, he might be really good at distances. Who knows?
53 feet above me.
You know what it could be? He might have a tree that was previously measured in his yard at 45 feet, and it's like, oh, he seems to be about 10 feet above it.
I can't-
So let's not poo-poo it too
I
quickly.
can't even tell you how tall my house is.
Oh, no.
I have no idea.
Half the time, I think outer space is literally 17 feet above us.
We talked
at
about
any
this.
given
Remember?
time.
Chris said fly a kite in space.
Yeah,
There you
let's
go.
do it.
There it is.
Oh my God.
All right, 55 feet. He estimated that the animal's body was about 22 feet in length with a wingspan of approximately 18 feet. Very specific, but again, who knows?
The guys
Okay,
are
well, whatever.
22 by 18.
geometric fucking.
Yeah, maybe he's
Johnny
maybe,
Geometry.
Maybe he's an engineer.
He could be. The eyewitness further noted that the dragon's dark auburn brown epidermis appeared to have a shiny, almost reflective sheen, and that the tip of its wings sported 3 or 4 talon-like fingers. That's some smog up in that piece.
Yeah.
The arms of the wing structure were muscular, and the membranes between the limbs seemed to be much thicker than bat-like skin. So instead of that like thin membranous shit that you usually see in like dragon movies and whatever, it's hardy and thick and I guess able to support something massive.
Okay.
As the thing continued to dance in the skies above his home, the man spied what appeared to be a pair of extended rear legs and twin rear fins on both sides of the body. I'm quoting directly. I don't understand what that means.
Twin rear fins.
I assume imagine like a dorsal fin, but I imagine there's two,
two of
and
them,
it's just on either side of his end.
I like that.
Let's do that.
Fine.
It
1,
works,
2, 3, go.
It works for aerodynamics.
There you go.
There you go.
The cavorting creature had a tail designed like an arrowhead and a peculiar conical shape around its head that stopped flat on the base of its neck. Again, I understand every word involved.
Wait a minute. That one I can't quite.
Okay, I'll do this one more time.
Conical shape with
A peculiar conical shape around its head.
Okay.
So head with a cone that stopped flat at the base of its neck. I can't help but to think of like one of those fucking dog things so they can't like
sort of
bite their legs
Yeah.
or whatever.
Reverse. I was thinking the other way.
But no, I think it's reverse. But I'm just saying when I think of a conical thing that, you know,
that makes more sense.
but I don't think that's it. I think what Chris you're imagining is right, where it starts narrow at the head and gets wider. So maybe it's not a typical long neck. Maybe it's one of those things where the head just tapers broadly into the shoulders.
The necklace dragon.
Oh, it's a Gauss.
Yeah, totally. As weird as this Leviathan of the sky seemed to be overall, what would strike the eyewitness as being the thing's strangest aspect were that its mouth and eyes were illuminated with what he described as a very ominous orange glow.
Okay.
Maybe building up to spit some fire. Who knows?
Boy.
Spit fire
As the
from your
monster
eyes.
made its way over a tree at the bottom of his yard and soared off into the distance, the undoubtedly perplexed spectator claimed to have heard a deep, throaty sound similar to the foghorn on a boat. Although the entire ordeal lasted no more than 20 seconds, it is likely 20 seconds that he would never forget.
Ooh.
And this is just a handful. I mean, I literally came across I don't know how many modern dragon sightings.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got the case that you and I investigated a little bit, Mark, the Northport Devils.
Oh yeah, that's right. I
Which
forgot
dealt
about
with
that. Yeah.
aliens, dragons, and
TVs,
all sorts
it
of
was
stuff.
weird. Yeah, it was cool. It was
It's
pretty dope.
definitely interesting.
Yeah.
We might go there someday, but there's lots of a lot more than I thought. It's one of those things that I just if someone had said there's minotaurs in the sewers below London, I'd be like,
Cool.
fucking phenomenal. I
That's
love the
dope.
idea, but I can't do anything with it. And that would have been my thought too. But I can't help but think. All right, let's just break this down. On its face, it is fucking absurd. It is absolutely unconscionable because these things are big. Radars would find them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way we would
World
see
Air
these.
Forces would
Yeah.
loathe their existence.
But NATO would have a huge issue with these. A huge issue.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But on the other hand, I am not going to dismiss these eyewitness accounts. But I can't help but think, are these who knows, like many other encounters with unknown entities, an example of people getting a glimpse into another realm, like be it I'm not even talking another dimension, though possibly that's an option,
Right.
but like maybe even a parallel world.
Yeah.
Something that's
Could
just
be.
where evolution was divergent and things
just a little bit
were
different,
still
yeah.
carbon based and doing its fucking shit, but they just went in that direction. And every now and again, for some reason that physics has yet to totally catalog, we can catch a glimpse into it. I can't quite wrap my head around the idea that they are corporeal, bona fide components in the biology of Earth as we know it.
I'm just trying to figure out where they would live and hide.
Yeah, well, it depends.
so big.
I mean, they're calling them dragons, but these are all night.
Right.
Most of
And-
them, yeah.
True.
And it just, I mean, and there's conflicting reports of size.
Right.
Well, that I agree with Chris saying
Ish.
it's all night. But all of these accounts aren't necessarily saying this is the exact same species of dragon. There are,
No,
you're right, some conflicting
right, well,
reports
right, I
within
didn't say-
single sightings too. Like Jill saying it's the size of a cow when her brother was saying it's the size of a plane. Though I do think, and I know maybe I'm working overtime to protect them, to cover their butts, but I do think if the brother is looking at the size of the wings and she's only looking at the size of the body, they might both be accurate. But I don't think we need any real consistency or I don't think there even trying to be any real consistency in the physiology of these things between different
No,
reports.
but it matters if you're talking a point of where planes would they'd be picked up on radar, because if they're not that big, then of course they would not be. If they are big as planes, yes, they would be, but if they're not, then they would not be. So it makes a difference how big they really are.
Oh, absolutely.
So and there's conflict there. But really, I mean, the only issue I have with any of this is people that with the fireball. I really have an issue with that.
Yeah, the fire kind of
because that goes against what we assume is possible
right, biologically.
Yeah.
Of course, like there were pterodactyls. They were flying, fucking dinosaurs, right? So
basically, yeah.
But no dinosaur was a fire breather.
I understand there's not some evidence, but it doesn't
that
mean
we
that
know of.
we
Sorry.
there couldn't be, because we know there was. So it's not out of the realm to think that's maybe something did. But as soon as you start going, well, when you start saying stuff like that, it's like, fuck. What do I do with that?
All right, well,
what do you do with that?
I agree.
It tosses a little,
But before we get too quick to be like, it's absolutely absurd, and I agree on its face, it seems that way.
Well, no, it's not. That's what I'm saying. I guess that's what I meant to say. It's not absurd. It's absurd. I just when you start throwing like things that feel like they're from movies in there.
right.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
I know.
like-
Some things are too good to
Not,
be true.
like pterodactyl will not evolve to breathe fire. Like it doesn't fit genetically.
No.
Right.
Like, what is it
but
going
let's
on?
let's ask a different
Well, also
question.
too, when it's established mythology, clearly mythology,
Right.
and you're turning it into a real life sighting, and you're bringing all these different mythological elements into it, it makes you go, okay, well, really?
All right. But you say, yes, it's clearly mythology. But mythology is based on something.
Right.
Now, not always something completely historically or biologically accurate, but it's based on something. So when you have these crazy wild men that were alleged to live in the mountains of the Congo and stole virgins from local tribes and did whatever nefarious shit they supposedly did, it's not really what vegetarian mountain gorillas do.
Right.
But it turns out mountain gorillas are real.
Right.
So the old-timey legends of fire-breathing dragons might be based on something that is biological, that was misinterpreted or maybe not represented in the most accurate way. Like, say it's puking up some form of bioluminescence. Maybe it's not hot at all. Maybe it's not dangerous or an offensive or even defensive weapon. It is just this thing that it regurgitates. I mean, the rope in Papua New Guinea is supposed to be bioluminescent, these flying pterodactyl type things. So maybe this is a weird thing. I mean, I don't know. Again, I know I'm pissing in the wind, but who's to say that what our ancestors saw and just assumed was fire because that's the only glowing thing they knew of in those days before electricity and a deeper understanding of the biology of the fauna of Earth, that they just called fire. And maybe these things are representative of real creatures that really could exist in some context, but just aren't doing what our ancestors gave them credit for, and what our new 21st century eyewitnesses are assuming that they're seeing.
Is fire. Okay. All right. Well, possibly.
Maybe.
Yeah, possibly.
I mean, myths can be based on real things.
They can be.
They can be.
But they also cannot be, and they could be attributed.
That's true.
I mean, we all know elements all were attributed to spirit gods. That's the deal,
Right.
So if you're seeing something in the sky, you don't know what it is, and you see something like fire or water and wind, you just kind of, these things develop over time into these mythic gods, creatures.
Right.
Sure,
So
no,
then these
you're
become
right. They try to deify natural
yeah, these become
things.
legends.
Right.
I completely would believe in a flying thing because that has been proven to exist. It's just some of the other elements of it.
So
Because there's all kinds of dragons that breathe all kinds of stuff. Just like there's giants that live in mountains and giants that live in the clouds and giants that do this, and the ones in the clouds throw the lightning because that's where lightning comes from.
Right.
No, you assume it's a giant that's behind any sort of natural phenomenon.
Yeah, and it's just
be it an earthquake,
right.
an avalanche, a thunderstorm. Yes.
Yeah, and it's very much where these things come from, where the lands are, where these things get those attributes from. Things that are places in snow have a lot of these white, furry things.
Like
places
Yetis
in
and
deserts
stuff,
have these different kind of aspects
I agree.
from myths.
I agree with what you're saying, even though just a tiny bit of umbrage. The Yeti has always been described as having reddish or brown fur.
Oh, sorry.
I'm not just saying Yeti.
No, I just meant.
That was me. That was my fault.
The old European influence of the Bumble, which, by the way, I love, one of my favorite stop motion creatures ever. But none of it's false. What Chris is saying.
And Littlefoot. Don't forget Littlefoot.
Well, yes, of course.
Oh, yeah, medium foot.
Medium foot.
I think let's narrow it to one specific thing. The Jilin province encounter, that smacks to me of something manufactured, maybe ufological. It is iridescent.
Could be.
That one's definitely
bright
weird.
And shiny. I wish we had actually had access to the photograph, because that would help us surmise what it is. But who knows? I mean, there's also reports, and we've dealt with them in the past, and we'll probably talk about in the future, of aliens that are allegedly flying around in ships that look like parts of dragons. So maybe there are people traveling around in a thing that vaguely looks like to what Earth eyes would see as a dragon, but it's really a vehicle, and maybe it's extraterrestrial or interdimensional. That's just that one case. The other things that seem to be clearly biological, you have to stop, I think, thinking about. We talked about the traditional biological aspects. Maybe it is something truly paranormal, something that is ethereal in the sense that it is not really tangible, but something that for some reason can be seen from time to time. Mm-hmm. Because none of these people are talking about that tree that caught on fire, though I think there's probably some cases of people claiming things like that. But they're not talking about this fireball, it eventually landed in this one place in Wisconsin and there was a forest fire or whatever. It's just, I saw them, and they seem to be having like sweet Hong Kong movie wizard duels, spewing blue,
when they're not
flames
frolicking with their family.
They're not frolicking with their full family. So who's to say that these things are corporeal? Maybe there's something else going on, and who knows how to interpret. What would you say? Like, just based on what you've heard, Chris, I'll start with you. What do you think? Say the family in Wisconsin and the friends and the folks from Green Bay were seeing.
I don't even know.
I mean, just a speculation.
Obviously, anything that looks like it's flying, you'd think would be some sort of misidentified bird. I mean, that would be my first thing, I guess. I don't know if there's any weird natural bird from there. Like we have heron here occasionally, and you see them.
Yeah,
we have some
but
big
like,
birds.
I don't know if Wisconsin has some sort of crazy fucking condor or some shit.
I
have no idea.
Well, it could even be an alien big bird. It's just like the alien big cat.
Yeah,
right.
Alien big bird. It's not supposed to be there. But in deference to that, they probably aren't going to have scales.
Right.
They might look. They might look beige, and they might look tan and white. But they probably aren't. They certainly aren't going to be able to spew fireballs from their mouth.
Yeah.
And the other thing that Jill says that's a bit troubling that you and Chris pointed out earlier is that she did not notice the wings flapping, which she strangely compared to the lack of mobility of a mermaid. But whatever, that's neither here nor there. That's interesting. That tends to make me think of something artificial.
Right.
Though I don't know. No, these are complex.
Yeah.
The thing is,
I know that's what
I think we can all agree that we have a difficult time assuming that there are large, flying, quasi-reptilian creatures that occupy this planet with us that we just never see except in these rare occasions. Yet, from my point of view, even though I think we all agree on that first point, I cannot dismiss these eyewitness accounts. And so something must account for this disparity in logic.
Right. I mean, from my point of view, like, skeptically speaking, if I look at this and say, okay, what could these people possibly have misidentified, whether it's a larger bird, maybe something to do with, like, airplanes, drones, something obviously...
21st century opens up the world of drones a lot.
It does, yeah. So I'm thinking, could this be misidentified? But at the same time, though, the reports that they're giving are... kind of detailed in the sense where you're like, well, they're getting the color of the skin and the scales and the fire and whatnot.
And the way they're frolicking and the way they seem to be being playful and spinning in circles and things that aren't really drone-like, to be honest.
Right. So there's that. I mean, again, because we have radar and we have satellites and we have the military and we have the Air Force, part of the military, clearly.
Well done.
In case you didn't know.
Thank you.
I think we would know if there was dragons. I think we would know. There'd probably be a special part of the military set just to deal with that.
No, if dragons were a bona fide part of the shit we had to deal with, Reign of Fire,
would be
a branch of the military.
As big as they
exactly.
claim, then sure.
Which kind of brings me to your point of maybe people are kind of seeing into something, whether it's an alternate, like you said, parallel world, different universe, dimension, because you know me, I love interdimensional shit. Maybe something like that seems plausible, if that's possible, more than they actually are sharing this earth with us.
Indulge me on this. You guys know I prefer the biological reasoning. Cryptozoology is
me too.
I think we're all in that
deal.
boat.
Not me, but okay.
I know. You want Bigfoot to be spiritual shamans from Dimension X that are going to give you ayahuasca.
They're high priests.
We're going to smoke weed, get gifts, and then Netflix and chill.
Yeah. Braid each other's thigh hair. Exactly. Do whatever you do.
I know. Our beards. Yeah.
And I don't necessarily prefer that way of looking at things. I want UFOs to be technology piloted by, I don't know what. I'm not necessarily subscribing to the extraterrestrial theory, but from intelligences that are not necessarily indigenous to Earth.
Interdimensional wizards.
That's you.
Fine.
And I'm all okay with it. But I'm going to go to Markland for a minute.
Okay.
And you know how, say, like the magnetic poles shift occasionally? I think it even was identified recently, and planets flip sometimes and do crazy stuff. These are physical. No, it's real physical things that happen to our world.
But it's scaring me, but okay.
All right. So
you're scaring the kid.
What if these legends of, say, I can't, let's go to Thundar the Barbarian, where a great accident on the moon unleashes
dragon,
sorcery,
Sunsor,
and fucking Ookla the
Barbarian.
Can you guys not mock me for 1/3 of a second so I can spit my shit out?
I'm trying not to.
What if occasionally the paradigms of realities we know them shift, and in the days of yore, there were dragons and ogres and trolls and goblins and fairies, and it was all fucking Tolkien as fuck and Lord of the Rings, and people were sword battling and doing whatever they could to farm during the day and battle a fucking wizard by night. And then that shit changed. Shit went legit. It's all technology and concrete and fucking circuits. But maybe the shift is starting to happen again, and we're all going to have to accept the fact that these little dragons that are slipping through the fucking Wisconsin threshold are going to be the fucking deal that we're going to have to deal with in our fucking dotage.
It's possible.
Again, this is a great movie that you should write. You only should write.
Well, no,
and direct.
I love that you tell me that every so often.
Because you're an excellent director.
No, this is sort of. I mean, there's the Shannara Chronicle, whatever that's on. I mean, and that is like, we're right now would be the past, and the future is like elves and stuff.
Yes.
Right.
It's sort of like I was a teenage caveman with Robert Vaughn, which is supposed to be a caveman movie, but it's post-apocalyptic.
Right. So there's the theory where the ancient past is where the magic was, and this is now. And then there's the theory where now is the past, and the elves and stuff comes way later.
That shit happens.
The magic comes later.
Like Bright, right?
I have no idea. I didn't see
Bright
it.
is that Will Smith film where
the ogres.
I think that's an alternate reality where in
elves
contemporary us.
Right.
Actually are living in a Tolkien-esque fantasy novel.
Okay, we're getting off the rails
That's a little different. But I think that there's possibility. I mean, obviously we lived with Homo floresiensis and other variations of humans that may well have embedded in our mind these ideas of small versions of us that can be dangerous, that can abduct people, that can kill, and maybe we made them magical. I mean, the scientific part of my mind is like, these things really existed.
I don't know what that means.
Listen,
what do you mean?
Oh my God. Just let me finish.
I can't.
That the legends that sprung up about these creatures that are no longer with us, or at least aren't with us in any like tangible way, but maybe in like deep hidden pockets of the world, we've made them more ethereal and magical than they actually were. They were simply biological. But
the stories.
Exactly, the stories. That's what I mean by making them magical.
Okay.
But maybe there is something to having coexisted with magical things once. Maybe there's, what do they call it? The Akashic Record, where all the knowledge of humanity and beyond is something that we can all touch into, and that nobody really has an epiphany that isn't brought to them by this great, revelatory energy or whatever.
Psychedelic wizard.
Okay, psychedelic wizard.
Fine, thank you.
You got it. You're welcome.
Drug wizard.
That's right.
But maybe there's something to the thought that the reason that we all have this as part of our universal mythology is because there's something fucking to it.
Okay, I like that idea. I really do.
I mean,
I dig it.
It tends to go against my grain, but part of me is like, you cannot dismiss that possibility.
Right.
And while I can totally think to myself, I don't necessarily accept dragons as a biological part of the fucking fauna that exists on Earth as we know it.
Right.
Because for all the reasons you guys said, from Norhead being pissed to whatever else, I still can't help but think there must be a reason why cultures from across the world, without every culture on Earth has legends of dragons. Yeah. That would not happen spontaneously.
Yeah. Totally, yeah.
Without something to back it up.
Maybe. I mean, things do spread. I just think if any of that actual stuff is real, like people started being notorious recorders of stuff back then, and that's how we got religions. That's if there was anything that could be proven, it would be noted, and you could be able to replicate it and test it. I think now.
Oh, I don't know about that. We still don't know how the pyramids were really built. We still don't know a lot of things.
We basically do.
I don't think we do.
But, I think most people do.
I don't think it's ancient aliens. I just don't happen to think that.
I think they do.
I think they do.
I don't think it's ancient aliens. I would have you cite your work because I don't think we know it.
I have not dug into it, but give me a week and I will give you a bunch.
And you know what? You will give me a bunch of theories. And I'm not saying I believe that they were like cosmic whistles that could fucking move things without gravity or that it's ancient aliens. I don't know. I don't necessarily think it's paranormal because I do believe
they don't
in
have
the
a
ingenuity
definitive
of people.
thing. They definitely don't. But
I'm just saying there's a lot of fundamental questions about things we know. So to me, I don't necessarily think there'll be corroborating evidence of every fantastical beast or legend that is out there.
That's just not possible. It's not because
we can't keep fighting in front of the kids. They get worried about us.
You can't have corroborating because that was a billion years ago.
Do we think that dragons are real? Yes or no?
Well, you have to define dragon.
You have to define real,
and you have to define real. Like, what do you mean?
I mean, that's not even a cop out. You really have to.
I know. All right. Well, I think I'm going to go with Rob's take on this, where maybe possibly I'm actually not even Rob's take, my own psychedelic wizard take here, where maybe we're looking at something interdimensional or something not of this world, possible parallel dimension or other existence.
I don't even know what that means.
You know what? You're stringing words.
Jesus,
you're like a local politician running for assembly.
You're Deepak Chopra right now, big time.
Yeah, so I'm going to go with that just strictly because of our good people in the Air Force would definitely know if there's a fucking dragon flying around. So.
That's why I'm not going with the biological angle.
Yeah, I'm going.
It depends if it's as big as you think it is.
If if it's the size of a raven, then they don't care.
If they're the fucking size of your random like rat terrier with like
then no one gives a shit.
Vulture sized wings,
someone said like
if
a
it's
cow,
over 10
but
feet
even
tall, if it's bigger than a fucking than 10 foot, they're gonna know about it.
I agree.
Are you
sure?
Yeah,
How do you know?
Definitely.
Well, they might not know about it.
Dude, did the fucking sky blimps and sky clams and all sorts of... This fits into that same realm.
Yeah. And I agree.
And we're saying, well, they don't know about it, so why would they know about these things?
Well, because
especially if they're interdimensional, if they're just blipping really quick,
if they're
why
in
would
the
they?
Sky clam category, which I think is awesome, the sky clam, then it would be like some ethereal thing that's happening, not an actual physical dragon here that lives on Earth that is just
but you're saying it's coming from just somewhere else and not really existing here and just quickly.
That way, people are just kind of like getting a quick glimpse.
So
of it.
if it's the same thing, then they wouldn't necessarily know.
No, I was saying that they would know if they actually lived here on Earth with us permanently. They would know. Yeah, no, not the blipping thing. They're the little, the weird like reality, the shift of reality, if you will. So are we all on the same page as interdimensional? Holy shit!
No.
Come on.
Did you ever think Chris was going to get on the interdimensional page?
All right,
ever?
Fine.
I'm not even on the interdimensional page.
All right, you are. Stop.
Yeah.
Just get in my boat.
I'm iffy.
Get in my boat.
You know what? Our dimensions might be shifting.
Fine.
The time of wizards may be nigh.
Can our dimensions touch?
I wonder if Alan Moore will rule us all.
Oh my God!
I wonder if his time as the great pope of the world, the dark magician that will fucking sanction whatever is good or bad for the new us.
No, it depends
in
on
the world of dragons and goblins.
Whoever wins in that wizard battle between him and Grant Morrison is going to rule the world.
Oh,
so.
Which side are you picking?
Grant Morrison.
Yeah, he wrote Happy.
That was pretty
good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do like Alan Moore a lot.
I love Alan Moore.
He's got a sweet beard.
I'm really into Grant Morrison.
Also, Watchmen carries a lot of water with me. I mean,
well,
I know it's old, but it was phenomenal.
Yeah, it's
but Grant
legit.
Morrison's Justice League is awesome. His Batman is great.
Swamp Thing? Yeah, I know.
I'm
It's a
still-
hard.
I'm
it's
still
not,
going Grant Morrison.
League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I
Not the
need-
movie. The books were great.
I need a comparison now. Like I need them both to do a thing.
Yeah.
And you need
Right.
to compare.
No, I need them
That's
both to
the-
give
yeah.
them.
No, I know.
It's gotta be
Yeah.
the
That's
two wizards
work.
giving their
Yes.
presentation.
Right, that's the deal. You can't just judge it by that.
No,
I know.
you're right. It's more than
Authority,
the
top
body of their
10.
work.
Yeah,
I know.
Usually,
Yeah.
sometimes not.
Who's more compelling? Alan Moore looks the part more, but Grant might be better suited for the job.
Yeah, that's the
I
deal.
think I might like Grant Morrison better.
Here's the problem is not so much who writes better comics, but who defends us better from dragons.
Grant Morrison, because he's currently.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, he's currently
That's ballsy.
Well, that's true. Like, who's doing the deal now? Like,
Yeah,
if you
he's
said
currently doing the shit.
if you said right now Frank Miller or Grant Morrison, I think I'm going to take Morrison.
You have to.
Well, yeah.
Now,
Over Miller
now.
any day. Yeah, totally.
Here's
Here's
me
the
now.
thing. What if wizards
Not-
really are keeping dragons at bay? And that
What do
every
you
now
mean,
and again,
what if? It's what they do.
No, but seriously,
Hey.
like what if they're not paying attention to Wisconsin because they're thinking, oh, the American Midwest, no one needs to worry about it.
Right.
It's fine. They'll eat their cheese. They'll fucking do their Green Bay Packer thing. And it's like, oh shit, something slipped through 2007, and then they have to send a fucking
Then-
patrol down to deal with it.
And
What if
Grant-
there are wizards constantly making sure our world doesn't devolve from the technocratic fucking abyss that it is to the fucking wizard-filled hellhole of trolls and
Yeah.
ogres?
Be a great metal record.
Oh my
Be a
god!
really cool metal
Or not
record.
just wizards. There's just the science we don't know about, and they're not coming from dimensions. They're just coming from a different space time.
Yeah.
And there's just tech, and they got to
Yeah.
go there and
And,
deal with
and,
that.
and we all know
Same thing, real-
wizardry
technically it's
and
the same
physics
thing. Yeah,
are
I know.
probably
Yeah.
Same-
There's a
Totally.
reason why fucking the Isaac Newton, sir, if you will,
Yeah.
who was the fucking master of all physics, was also
Yeah.
a goddamn alchemist wizard.
Yeah, it was a genius.
So you can't necessarily pull the two atween.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude, sex, magic, and physics. It's all
So
the same.
I'm going to thank all
There
the
you go.
wizards out there that are keeping it legit.
Thank
that
you,
are keeping
Isaac
us
Newton,
being eaten.
first dragon warrior.
First dragon wizard physicist extraordinaire.
Founder of the Panzer Dragoon Regiment.
All right, there you have it.
You're-
That is our take on dragons, I guess. Right?
Hey,
I
21st
guess.
century.
All right, we sort of pulled it off.
I don't know if we did that.
Oh, whatever, it worked.
It's,
Yeah,
it's
I
not.
know.
It's not even relevant if we pull it. We went on this ride. We took you with us. You're welcome.
Here it is. I don't even remember
Yeah.
what I just said.
Yeah,
just
no,
let's
me
go.
neither. Enjoy. Be sure to hit us up on the socials. Give us your dragon theories, I guess, right?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, why not? May as well. Shit. Instagrams, Twitters, and Facebooks. Kryptonotpodcast.bigcartel.com. Get yourself some sweet enamel pins and some koozies. TeePublic shop. You can get some merch there too. And of course, our Patreon recently launched as of April 1st. Patreon.com/KryptonotPodcast. We have a $1 and a $5 tier. Be sure to sign up for that. Stick around for some ratings and reviews. You can leave those on the iTunes and Apple Podcast apps. Why do I think I'm doing a morning zoo show?
I don't know, but it's
Okay.
pretty
No, you're
exciting.
good. You're fine.
Cool, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
And also another shout out to Richard Freeman.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank
so
you very much, man.
Thank
That's
you for
awesome.
inspiring
Dope.
this.
Yeah.
Can't wait to pick your brain.
Dragons.
Cool, we're talking to you soon.
See you later from the Mark Show.
Hey,
See you next
it's me,
week.
Mark the
Yay.
Dragon. Fireballs all day, yeah.
Dragon
Oh my
and the
God.
Fools.
Oh, shit. Coming at you. And thank you for sticking around for the ratings and reviews. These are coming at you from the iTunes, Apple Podcast apps. Obscure, absurd crypto nerds. 5 stars from Death or Glory. 918. Love this podcast.
God.
Art caught my eye. The theme song blew me away. And the Fresh
Duh.
Cryptos fun discussion and gentle beer cracking in the background had me hooked by Grampus. Thanks, dudes. Keep it up.
Well,
Thank you.
shit howdy.
There you go.
We'll do our darndest.
Robert, Facebook, what do we got?
I got a review from John Powrich. I think I'm pronouncing that right.
Okay.
And he says, "This is an awesome podcast!" Exclamation point. The guys are funny and the banter is great. Hello, save. I believe that's a
Hello,
typo for Heller
space.
Space.
Okay, cool.
But I love that it's hell.
Hello,
Letter O.
say- Yes.
Save.
Okay, sweet.
Thank you, John.
Totally. All right, I got best new show, 5 stars. Krista, Back to Earth Beauty. Hey, Kryptonaut Podcast, 5 satanic stars. Heller Space
Yeah.
style. My name is Drew, and my buddy Wally put me onto your show, and I thought I'd give it a try. I downloaded 10 old episodes and began to fill myself a hot bath. I slipped off my leathers and killed the lights. I find it easier to float in the steaming tepid water in complete dark. The only sensory distraction coming from my earbuds are the aluminum bowl full of slime gems floating around.
That is the most sensual review we've ever received.
I love to laugh along with you guys on your numerous topics, though sometimes it's hard to hear you over the viscous slapping on the water as I blindly fumble around the tub for those devious floating meat sacks.
Oh my God.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I love the nerd and metal references throughout it, and it makes me laugh like I'm a part of something. Like you guys are my old friends. I also enjoy sticking my toe in the faucet while the tub is filling.
Yeah.
To get that
we all do. You gotta have the
little
spray.
tickle.
Yeah, no, it's
Keep
great.
up the great work. You've got a lifelong listener. I'm not sure why we're taking a bath with this dude, but
I love it. I don't know if you write, Drew, but you have like done some ASMR poetry just then.
Yes.
You literally painted a most visceral picture. And you should really probably be doing this more often. And
All right.
Thank you for the shout out. And you know what? I'm glad we're taking a bath with you. And I also like to make the nozzle spray when I occasionally get in the tub.
okay.
That's the deal.
Well,
Yeah.
there you go.
Good shit.
Thank you, Drew and Robert. Continue on.
Speak of the divil, if you will. This
Devil.
review comes from Richard Freeman.
Oh,
Holy
nice.
shit.
Is literally the source of the entire podcast
Yep.
tonight.
Awesome. Cool.
A truly one-of-a-kind podcast. It's like talking about obscure monsters with your mates down at the pub, a rural, old, spooky pub on a stormy night.
Nice. Thank you, Richard.
Thank you,
Very
Richard.
awesome.
Oh, American Werewolf in
There you
London.
go.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
Always
yeah.
what I fucking
No, there's
think
a
of.
curse. Stick to the main road, fuckface.
No, just stay on the road.
That's all
Yeah.
you had to do.
God damn it. They
Thank
didn't.
you, Richard, so much.
All right, coming at us here. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? 5 stars from Ashley T.
Yeah.
Wow.
I cannot even begin to say how much I adore these guys and how much their podcast means to me. I've been a big fan of the weird since I was 8. I'm 30. And I love that I'm always introduced to new creatures by them. I just stumbled across a podcast while doing a random name search while high, and boy is sober me happy with high me. Chris, Mark, and Rob always make me laugh or yell while I'm stuck in Vegas traffic. Please keep up the amazing work and keep your rad AF selves.
Oh,
And-
shit.
and keep being your rad AF selves. I'm
rad
sorry,
as
Ashley, I
fudge.
can't read.
Jeez, okay.
Rad as fudge.
Fudge.
I'm so excited.
Rad as fudge.
Thank you,
I'm
Ashley.
fudge. I'm always
Thank you
fudge.
so much, Ashley.
I'm so glad Hi You allowed this to happen.
Oh,
There
yeah.
you go. That's what
Thank
it's
you.
about. All right, be sure to leave your ratings and
Oh,
reviews.
no, I got one more.
Oh, do you? Okay.
Oh,
never mind.
no, don't
Sorry.
be too quick.
Sorry. Jumping the gun.
Michael Camp.
Oh, camp it up.
Absolutely fantastic show. Guys are great. Content is just what I like. Sweet, to the point,
yeah.
succinct. Thank you, Michael Camp.
All right, cool. So there you have it. Be sure to leave your ratings and reviews in the iTunes, Apple Podcast apps, and of course the Facebooks. You can leave them there as well. It helps us out greatly. And thank you all of our listeners, near and far.
It's
Thank
literally,
you all.
are one of the best things
Thank
in
you
our
all so
lives.
very much. We are glad that we can be joining you this Monday morning, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Bye.
Second goodbye is always a sad goodbye.
Second goodbye. The last goodbye to
Oh, the
next
last
week.
goodbye.
Is it-
Yeah.
Well, it's the last goodbye until the next goodbye.
That's what, yeah, till next week.
To the first second goodbye.
Yeah, but this is our last goodbye before we say goodbye 2 more times again.
But you know what I like to say?
Why are we always saying goodbye?
You're gonna have 6 lonely baths. Till next week.
Should we just be saying hello instead of goodbye? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Hello, friend. Is that what we
Oh.
do? No, it sounds weird.
You
No,
say hello.
No, because they're not gonna hear us till next week.
It's true, they're not.
So bye. See you in 6-ish days.
Yeah,
Yeah.
5 and 3/4 days.
Totally.
Usually,
All
give or
right.
take.
Cool. I've been uploading these at about 12:30 Sunday. About
Also, like
12:30
the
in the morning.
crack of Sunday.
Yeah, actually, when I set it to automatically post, so it's not me being
All
up. I
right.
go to bed at 9 o'clock, Robert. I have a decent bedtime.
I'm sorry, I didn't
Okay.
know.
We'll
Well,
talk
take
to
your
you soon.
lonely bath, and then we'll see you in a week.
Oh, all right, cool. There it is. Bye.
All right,
Okay.
listen. You can always
got
use
it.
the second paragraph.
What's that?
Instead,
The second paragraph is sometimes less.
This globally ubiquitous beasts. Okay.
oh, you have it looking.
No, that's the second sentence. I mean the second paragraph.
Oh, when I think of dragons, the images that pop into my mind.
no, that doesn't help
Yeah,
either.
that doesn't work at all.
The
No,
second sentence.
I went to the wrong one. All right.
No, but that made more sense
Yeah,
actually when you read
did.
it.
Yeah, totally. All right, here we go. Jesus Christ. All right, get out of your system. Here we go. I'm going to try to do this fucking
Yeah, that was just-
barrage.
Oh, we're dumb.
Oh, we are dumb. We are
Dumb.
That's like the understatement
Dumb.
of all
Oh my
fucking
Start a second
time.
paragraph, second sentence. Dude, a second sentence. Do you see the indentation? That's a paragraph.
All right. To be fair, there's no fucking indentation.
Okay, well then that makes sense. If you
I
don't
mean,
know,
do you
there's no
have
other
to fit this
paragraph
many
here.
words?
No, but there is
in
a
here?
fucking space. Oh my god, it is not even the longest intro I've ever given you.
It's goddamn near.
I'll tell you what, it shows my faith in you.
Is there difficult words or it's just long?
It's just long.
You want me to read it?
No, here we go.
You want to read the rest of it?
No.
I'll read this.
Do you want to
No,
do it one word
we're
at a time?
No.
Like in, stop, stop.
No, we're not going to do that. All right,
Okay.
here we go.
All right.
No, all that's bullshit. Okay.
All right. Let's do it. Stop. Christmas. Christmas. Easter.
Okay, I want to go for Christmas.
Pagans. Pagans. Wicker Man.
Wicker Man.
Wicker Man.
Okay.
Sacrifice.
Oh my god.
Burn the sacrifice. All right. Are we ready?
I think.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
Oh my god. Okay.
Oh my god.
Get it out.
You are like the fucking Wicker Man Valley girl. You're like
damn it.
You're
I had to
like
get it
you're like
out.
the pagan god of fucking South California
know.
mall culture.
Oh my god. Okay.
Go to the top of the straw man. Don't worry. That's pizza.
Do you want a good
Fire.
harvest or not, Betty?
Oh my god. It's
Butterflies
pizza.
that sway.
Okay. Here we go.
Hit it.
I had 2 Reuben sandwiches for dinner, and I hope that smells. Yeah.
2?
If I smell anything,
Fuck, and I wouldn't even do that.
if I smell anything, you're out of here.
Wow.
Wow.
He's kicking you out.
Disinvited from Chris's apartment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Don't
All right.
test
I'm
me.
just gonna do these real quick.
Test me. All right. Ready?
Don't test me in my
I'm
own
gonna do 2,
house.
but the
2?
Icelandic one is short. Very
Okay.
short.
All right.
Fucking better be
All right.
more.
So we've
Christ, all
fucking
right.
wow.
Here we go. Ready?
All right. So we got 2 more accounts, and then we're gonna wrap it up, and we're gonna break this shit down.
All right. Let's do it.
The first one is from fucking Iceland. I shouldn't have said that. I don't even know why I said that.
Why are you so mad at Iceland?
I'm not mad at Iceland.
Why?
That's why I take it back.
I'm just like, why?
The
why?
first one was simply from fucking
I
Iceland.
know.
Okay.
You're like, just first one's from fucking Iceland.
I don't even
Here we
know.
go.
I know it
That's
sounded
weird.
like I'm not even mad.
No, what didn't sound mad. It was just funny why
they use,
it was
they use
there.
thermodynamics. They believe in elves. I love the Icelanders.
We have listeners in Iceland.
I'm a fan of Iceland. I was not at all disparaging.
It just
No,
sounded
it was
disparaging.
just the random adjective you threw in there for no reason.
I know it really.
Absolutely no reason.
It's because
No
I'm
reason.
an innately
Funny.
profane person.
Okay.
Okay.